All right, this topic, oops, excuse me. Okay, this topic is first company through-the-wall condensing units. As you guys know, we have a topic every Monday at lunchtime. Next week's topic will be carrier water source heat pumps. But this month we're doing first company through-the-wall condensing units. All right, just to give you an idea, for those that don't know, this is what we're talking about. On the right-hand side of your screen is a picture of a through-the-wall condensing unit. On the left-hand side of your screen is a typical building that you might use this with. It's difficult to see where the condensing unit is at in the picture, and that's the entire idea. So if you see over here, I don't know if you guys can see my mouse. Hopefully you can. On the inside of these pieces here of the building, you'll see these little gray boxes. That's where the through-the-wall condensing unit's at. The condensing unit is actually inside the building, and then it takes intake air and discharge air right through the side wall of the building. So it's really good for apartment buildings and condos and mid-rise type buildings where you don't want to be able to see these condensing units down on the ground, but you want to be able to not have to have a centralized chiller plant system. It shows you a couple more examples here. So you can see here on the left, there's some through-the-wall condensing units, one on each of these 3 floors. There's a close-up view of the first floor one down here. And then on the inside of the building is where you would have your air handler. So just like with a regular residential split DX system, you have the condensing unit, and then you have some type of fan coil, air handler, or furnace with an A coil or some type of evaporator coil on it. So in this case, it's one that's in the closet here. And then this is just to show you that you can scale this up on larger size buildings here, and you'll have a very difficult time on this building even finding where these condensing units are located. They can become part of the architectural element of the building, so it's pretty attractive in that regard. And this is kind of what it looks like when you install one of these guys. So on this drawing here, this is to represent the wall down the middle. The left side of the drawing is outside the building. The right side of the drawing is inside the building. So you can see here on the left, we're taking air into this unit, running it across the condenser coil, and then discharging that air back out the top side here. The hotter air discharges out the top. The nice thing about this, in addition to being aesthetically pleasing and not taking up any ground space, is that it also has all the service access from inside the building. So there is a panel you can take off on the back of this unit to access the compressor and coils and controls and all that good stuff. Refrigerant piping leaves off this unit and goes over to the indoor evaporator coil. So this drawing here is showing you on the left here is the outdoor condensing unit, and you can match it up with numerous types of indoor units. It doesn't have to be a furnace and a DX coil, although that is fairly common in our marketplace. But there's recessed fan coils you can mount it with. There's ceiling concealed fan coils you can use it with, and then obviously your traditional air handlers, whether they're located in a basement type environment or a closet or an attic. And this is kind of illustrating to you some of the benefits of doing this. Obviously, there's the aesthetics. There's the ease of accessing the condensing unit from inside the home. There's much shorter distance runs for electrical wiring. There's no penetrations on roofs. Obviously, it's much more difficult to steal the condenser coil when it's not down at the ground and it's hanging up 3 stories. That makes it a lot easier, or a lot more difficult, I should say, to steal that. You don't have to worry about hiding it with landscaping and bushes and that kind of stuff. So it makes it a lot easier to do this. And you can do a lot taller buildings. A normal condensing unit, you're only going to be able to run the refrigerant line for 50 to, say, 175 feet, depending on the manufacturer. With these guys, none of that becomes an issue because the condensing unit is located directly next to the air handler itself on its own floor. All right, so what's actually changing in this market? Most of you guys have seen through-the-wall condensing units over the years. You know exactly what it is. What's different now? The difference now is the requirement for 12 SEER. Everybody's heard us talk about 13 SEER for the past few years on residential units. These type of units are what's listed as space-constrained products, meaning that they did not have to comply with the 13 SEER requirement. So up until this year, the requirement for these types of units was 10.9 SEER. The new rules, as of January 23rd this year, require 12 SEER. That's a manufacturing requirement, meaning that everything manufactured after January 23rd has to be 12 SEER or better. That does not mean that distributors or contractors who have inventory of the older SEER units can still sell them. So if you already have an older 10.9 SEER unit in your inventory, you can go ahead and still use that unit now. But manufacturing-wise, everything is switched to 12 SEER. And you're going to see when we talk about some of these 12 SEER units, there are still some advantages to using the older units, specifically dimensions and refrigerant. If you don't have to change the refrigerant to 410A, that can be an advantage on some retrofit applications. And then obviously the unit itself, when we go to larger SEER ratings, it typically means more surface area, which means larger units. Well, if I have a hole that's X by Y sitting in the wall of my building, I don't want a condensing unit that's dimensions A by B. I still want X by Y. I got to fit it all in there. So this just kind of shows you what the rules are for the federal government for manufacturing. So as you guys know, normal split system air conditioners went up to 13 SEER a couple years ago. Heat pumps went up to 13 SEER as well. Thru-the-Wall units are space-constrained products, and they were 10.9. The Thru-the-Wall heat pump units were 10.6 previously. Now, as of January 23rd, 2010, they both go to 12 SEER, whether it's an air conditioner or heat pump. It's got to be 12 SEER for manufacturing. So this is the new First Company 12 SEER. What they actually did is divide the product line into two pieces. One is more of a replacement unit, and one is more of a new construction unit. And there's some reasons that we did it that way, and we'll kind of mention why here. So the replacement unit, the reason we call it the replacement unit is because it has the exact same dimensions as the old First Company AB series of units, which means it's 32 by 24 by 19. And that dimension also happens to coincide with a couple dozen manufacturers of these units over the decades. So it's a very popular dimension. There's tens of thousands of units in the field that have those dimensions, and First Company was able to get all that stuff to fit with 12 SEER in the same cabinet. So they're going ahead and still using that. Now, in all honesty, it's a 12 SEER unit when it's rated with certain air handlers that have ECM motors on them. However, in the retrofit market, you have what you have. There's nothing wrong, or I should say there's nothing illegal or against code to install a 12 SEER condensing unit on an older air handler. You obviously won't get 12 SEER, but you can do it. There's no problem with it in terms of codes or legality. However, going forward, we actually want people to get 12 SEER on a newer system. So with that, we have to not only match it up with the right fan coils, but we can also need a larger unit with more surface area, more condenser coil area. So there's a new cabinet. The dimensions are much larger. Instead of 32 by 24, they're 43 by 27. They're also a little bit deeper. There's an insulated jacket on them, and they get matched up with almost all the First Company air handlers. So the retrofit unit only makes 12 SEER when matched up with the higher, more expensive variable speed type air handlers. The WMU, which is the new construction unit going forward, matches up to almost all the First Company air handlers and gets 12 SEER. I'm going to take a quick look and see if anybody has typed any questions in here. Let me just see. All right, no new questions. If you guys have any questions, type them in the box, and I'll do my best to answer them. All right, then on the heat pump side of the equation, the heat pumps also need to be 12 SEERs going forward. The heat pumps, just like the WMU, which if I go back one screen, oops. All right, so the heat pumps, just like the WMU condensing unit, are designed for new construction. They have the same dimensions, 43 by 27 by 23. They also have the ECM fan motor on the condenser side. And these get matched up with almost all the normal First Company air handlers to get that 12 SEER. So heat pumps and condensing units, both 12 SEER going forward. With that being said, TSD still has stock of both the 10.9 SEER as well as R22 units. So if you have an existing facility that's replacing or has R22 for the whole condo building or something like that, or apartment building, this would be the summer to replace those units. Next summer, we're not going to have R22. We'll be out of it. But right now, we have the most R22 condensing units of anyone in the entire country, and we're set up to replace all the major manufacturers. You know, First Company, Rheem, Bryant, all these old units that are out there, Lennox. So we can replace those units and not have to make you change all the line sets and all that stuff in the refrigerant and the TXVs. After the summer, those will be all gone, and you'll have to use the R410, and you'll probably have to use the R410 12 SEER. But right now, you can get a very good deal on existing 22 units and not have to do all the extra labor associated with changing refrigerant. First Company themselves manufactures quite a few things for us. Obviously, the through-the-wall condensing units and the through-the-wall heat pumps, like we mentioned. They also manufacture all the fan coils that you would pair those up with. So in that case, you're pairing them up with a DX or a heat pump fan coil. And those fan coils would either have electric heat or hot water heat on them. We can also match up First Company fan coils with Carrier, Bryant, or other manufacturers' furnaces. So if you want a gas furnace with a through-the-wall condensing unit, we can also do that with you. First Company also makes a vertical high-rise stacked fan coil for hydronic applications, water source heat pumps, mainly for the retrofit market. Those dimensions fit most other manufacturers of water source heat pumps in the vertical residential closet-style market. And then on the larger commercial side, First Company makes belt drive air handlers, double-wall construction up to 12,000 CFM, chilled water, hot water, electric heat, or DX cooling. And they make fan coils, as you can see from the pictures, that fit just about any dimension. Air handler style, recessed, sloped, ceiling concealed, all that good stuff. We do training every webinar. Every Monday we do a webinar on a different topic. We have a lot of classes that we do physically in our Melrose Park location as well as our other training centers. We have a hands-on lab in our Melrose Park facility. We have a mobile truck that we take equipment around to show. We just had First Company on there this past month. This month for June we have geothermal on there. This is the schedule for all the webinars for the year. We did change the topic for next week. Next week's topic will be Carrier water source heat pumps. Then the following week will be multi-aqua chillers and fan coils. So next week, like I said, water source heat pumps, mainly directed towards the commercial market in this case. We did the residential topic a couple months ago. So this one's directed towards commercial, both vertical and horizontal units, water source heat pumps for use with cooling towers, boilers, or geothermal systems. All right, so that's all I had for you guys. Obviously, this is a very quick topic, so it was not the full, half an hour or 45 minutes of our normal webinar. I'm going to look again and see if we have any questions here. I got a question here from Fred Costello asking what the model numbers are for the R22 and 410A units. The R22 units have a model number of WCX. The R410A units have a model number of WCXR. And then the new 12 SEER style units will be, I can actually go back to that one. The new 12, so the current 10.9 SEER are WCX for R22, WCXR for R410A. And then for the new units, the 12 SEER units going forward, the model number will be WCX12. And then for the new construction, the larger size cabinet will be WMU. So right now there's 4 models in play, basically. All right, so we have another question here from Rod. The question is, could you use one of these through-the-wall condensing units outside on a pad if you're trying to use a replacement for an R22 and you don't have access to an R22 condensing unit? It's a great question, Rod. The answer is yes. This unit is designed to go through the wall, and that's what it's meant for. However, it is a weather-tight enclosure. It could be set out on a balcony. So if you're replacing an old R22 unit and you need to put a new unit on the balcony, as you know, most units, they grow in size and they don't fit very well on a balcony. You could put one of these through-the-wall condensing units sitting on the balcony, discharging outward. You could also use it on a residential application for a home if you're trying to replace an R22 system and for whatever reason you don't want to upgrade to R410A and you want to stick with R22. It's very difficult to find R22 condensing units, but you could use one of these condensing units in that application sitting on a pad outside your house. They're only available in 1.5, 2, and 2.5 tons, but those are some of the more common sizes for older R22 systems anyway. So yes, Rod, you could do that. Absolutely. Good question, good application. I believe TEC does still have some R22 units in stock, regular condensing units. So you could use those, but if those run out or if certain sizes run out, you could put a first company through-the-wall condensing unit on a pad outside. All right, let's see if there's any other questions. Anybody have any other questions that you want to ask me? If not, I'll probably go ahead and shut things down. We did record this webinar, so if there's someone in your office that needs to see it, I will, in the short future here, a couple hours, have it posted online, and you could view it that way. Like I said, next week is carrier water source heat pumps for the commercial market. And if you have any other questions, please feel to contact me. My phone number is 708-670-6383, or you can contact Greg Jutras, and his number should be in the chat section on the bottom of your screen there. All right, I thank you guys for your time. And with that, oh, I got one more question here for Rod. Where on the web is the webinar listed? That's a good question also, Rod. The original email registration you had for this webinar, that link on there ends up being the link that goes to the recorded version. Additionally, we have them posted on our FTP site, which is tecstorage.com/controls. And what I can do is I can send you a link to that, Rod, if you need it. Okay. All right. With that, I'm going to go ahead and shut it down. Thank you guys for your time, and I appreciate it. Thank you.